Hi, and welcome to the webinar Mobilize Your Workforce, brought to you by OBS. OBS is a leading Australian IT services company focused on helping organizations transform their business with Microsoft technologies. As Australia's very first Microsoft Gold partner, OBS currently holds 3 Microsoft Gold competencies covering CRM, business intelligence, and collaboration and content. OBS provides specialist technical, consulting, and managed application support services for organizations that wish to address performance, compliance, and productivity initiatives using Microsoft SharePoint, Dynamics CRM, and cloud technologies. My name is Garrett Griffin, and I am a solution specialist within the Brisbane branch of OBS. For those who may have missed the 1-hour live broadcast in September of 2014, we have taken the liberty to re-record this presentation in a shorter format. Our primary focus today is to talk about some of the form and workflow options available to us within the SharePoint context and to demonstrate aspects of the Nintex forms and workflow products. So first, if we may, let's start with the definition. Today we are talking about forms and workflow, but more broadly, we are talking about business process automation, or BPA. For our purposes today, we will define BPA as the use of technology to drive efficient and consistent behavior and outcomes within business functions, both when and where it is needed. At the highest level, BPA is ultimately about our desire to improve the capture and management of information, and perhaps more simply, just to get work done. The information age seems to push us toward greater efficiency, a need to think more strategically, and to maintain greater visibility. We increasingly need to do more with fewer resources. When we automate repetitive business processes, we also begin to free ourselves to focus on more valuable things. We begin to see greater consistency in our data and service delivery. We also begin to reduce our use of hard copy. Changes in any of these conditions can ultimately have a positive impact on our responsiveness. So let's move on to the kinds of processes we might look to automate. For corporate services, we will often see solutions for human resources, finance, and IT services, such as request systems for leave, travel, expense claims, and other inquiries. Out in the field, we find valuable use cases associated with asset management, flexible workforce enablement, as well as data collection for scientific and marketing scenarios. Within the realm of document management and control, form and workflow solutions can play a pivotal role in document authoring, approval and review cycles, support for records management, internal and external publishing. Within service delivery, we see some solutions affecting inquiry and case management, as well as customer lifecycle management. And one area also worth mentioning is the administration of SharePoint itself. Form and workflow solutions can be configured to handle provisioning of SharePoint sites and other objects, as well as drive repetitive admin and governance tasks within the platform. So what is the spectrum of options we have in SharePoint to address forms and workflow? The fact is, there are multiple options for each area within the SharePoint context. Some are built in, some require extensions. Each have their strengths and weaknesses, and each may be more or less appropriate for different situations. Each will have some cost to your business. For workflow, we generally refer to 3 options depending on the requirements. Native SharePoint workflow capabilities built into the platform require use of SharePoint Designer or Visual Studio to develop those workflows. Many actions tend to be more technical. Many can require coding. SharePoint Designer is a free tool. Visual Studio has a cost. Generally, development times for common business processes tend to be a bit longer. As the number and complexity of our solutions grows, we then start to have a clearer business case to look at third-party extensions. Nintex Workflow provides a drag-and-drop design interface built right into SharePoint. It is suitable for business users as well as technical, significantly extends the actions available to us, and integrates cleanly with SharePoint. Nintex Workflow provides a highly flexible solution within both on-premises and SharePoint Online deployments, one that can begin to pay for itself in as little as 1 or 2 solution projects. With regards to dedicated solutions, we will make reference later in the presentation to K2. Moving over to the forms side of our story, the options available to us are more numerous and to some extent more dependent on our specific needs. Once again, we have a spectrum of choices, starting with the native capabilities within SharePoint and its implicit integration with Microsoft Office tools. Right out of the box, SharePoint provides us the ability to create lists and libraries, now referred to as apps, to store and manage both documents and unstructured list-based content. Every time we create an app, the forms for us to interact with it are created also. These forms will often meet basic needs without further effort, but can also be changed and extended through programming. When coupled with Office applications, we have even more native options. InfoPath, for example, has been the mainstay for complex forms development from a Microsoft perspective for many years. Microsoft has recently announced the end of life for that product. However, support will not end until 2023. This means InfoPath is still a viable option for forms development for a while yet. InfoPath can be used with SharePoint or in a standalone fashion. It deals with some of the complex form requirements that we run into pretty well, and is also widely used. A large library of InfoPath forms can sometimes become a bit cumbersome to manage over time. Microsoft also still promotes use of Excel, Microsoft Access, and Word for some form scenarios. However, we will not be looking at these options today. Generally, with mobility as a top concern these days, we do not find ourselves promoting these options. We will also not spend any time today on custom developed solutions. Needless to say, SharePoint as a platform can support custom solutions using a variety of technologies, including ASP.NET. We would also like to include a mention of K2. K2 is marketed as an application development platform and consists of a number of capabilities, including forms and workflow engines that integrate to SharePoint. K2 is deployed to its own server infrastructure and is considered a highly scalable enterprise platform that is suitable for building applications that may transcend but still incorporate the SharePoint environment. If your foreseeable requirements will involve numerous automations, multiple internal and external touchpoints, integration with multiple line of business systems, and heavier data management, K2 is definitely worth a look.
Okay, so that's it for this portion of Mobilize Your Workforce. The live demo portion of the previous webinar is available via the OBS website at www.obs.com.au. If you're interested in more information, please feel free to contact OBS via our website, and we can arrange to meet with you to discuss your needs. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.